Here in Las Vegas, we are attending Fabtech, North America's largest metal forming and fabricating event. This event is expected to attract some 30,000 people. The trade show has grown from a regional trade show serving a few hundred companies to North America's most authoritative event for metal forming, fabricating, welding, and finishing. My previous career involved working in a factory, so I should see some familiar pieces of equipment here. This fascinating machine, watching all the parts move, etc., is actually a metal bending machine. I said, what do you mean by metal bending? And I was told, look at the metal on the chair, and that is bent metal that could be done by a machine like this. The Soko machine would cost about $150,000. Right now it is just doing a valet that stops traffic in the aisles. The Torrid Group, which makes bending machines, had a show special of $12,900, and if you walk around to the other side of the machine, it has been sold. Lots of examples of automation are here. It's almost like they're going through an exercise routine. Ooh! Touch your toes, turn around, and bend. The gentleman there is holding a gun that will provide induction heating, and you may heat a metal to braise it, which is sort of like melting two metals together. You may bend the metal, etc. This is all part of this equipment by EFD, and it is made in Norway. I said, where do you sell this equipment? He said, all around the world, and this particular setup would cost around $80,000. This is a booth where we are seeing a demonstration of a Gorbel G-Force hoist, and this is the kind of thing that will help workers not wrench their backs in lifting heavy equipment. This is a specialized tooling at the end of this hoist. The Gorbel people say business has been very good, and even a lot of new factories they have seen in North America, which is good news. And their prices for hoists can run from the smallest machine shop to millions of dollars in a big factory. So while we're at Fabtech, we can watch lifting going on without any strain on the operator. This is OSHA's favorite product, or one of their favorites. This motorcycle that's on display at the New Mech Systems Manufacturing LLC exhibit, we have some gentlemen looking at it, contain parts from all kinds of different motorcycles. I'm looking at a sign here. The gas tank was from 1936-37 Sport Scout, fork 1950-51 Indian Warrior, handlebars 1950-53 Chief and Chief handlebars, front fender 1949 Laconia Racer, etc. And this bike is owned by J.R. Pete Sink, who powder coated the bike using New Mech Systems equipment. And lots of folks have come to take a look. This is a swing loader by Murata Machinery USA Inc. It was moving just a few minutes ago, but is probably now on a coffee break. Donald Trump may get a lot of publicity these days, but I don't think that he's at a machine tool company named after him. It's close. Trump. I had to ask what optonics was, And basically we're talking about laser cutting. This Mazak company, a Japanese company, has a sister company called Mazak Optomics, laser cutting, and these are, here's a big machine, and the machines may run in price from $500,000 to $1 million, and what they do is cut metal and cut shapes, and you can see how tiny and how precise all this laser cutting can be. This large piece of rounded steel is an example of what a plate rolling machine, such as made by Davy Company, can make. They have a U.S. headquarters in Texas and sell a lot to the oil and gas industry, but they are actually an Italian company. Salvagnini is a familiar machine tool name for me because the company I worked for in Chicago had a great big Salvagnini machine. This is a laser cutting machine and also a bending machine, and can bend the parts you see here, and then a welder will make sure all the corners are attached. This is Dwayne Allen from the Techni Waterjet Company. And me being unfamiliar with water jet, I asked him some questions. For instance, how can you cut with water?
Well, water is not really a cutting process, it's a controlled erosion process. Basically what you're doing is you're taking the water.
You have to speak up because there's machines in our background.
We're taking the water under pressure, running it through an orifice, which is accelerating the water. And after the water is accelerated, it's picking up a grain of garnet sand, which is propelled into a flat part, which is actually the controlled erosion process, commonly referred to as a cut.
So why would you use water, a water process versus laser, for example?
All machining processes, all cutting processes have their features and benefits. They have their upside and downside. With laser, you're limited to thickness of the material you can cut. You're also not cut highly reflective material. With water jet, it doesn't really matter what you put up there, it's going to cut it. Water jet can best be described as what it cannot cut, and that's tempered glass, only because of the shadow. But for the most part, you can cut wood, tile, marble, steel, stainless steel, all different types of metals, brass. If you could put it up there, it's going to cut, again, with the exception of tempered glass.
And you told me there were some things cut with water that I had no idea about. Consumer things like chicken.
Gosh, yeah, a lot of food products are cut with water. Tyson chicken cuts with water. All your chickens that you've probably eaten in the last 10 years have been cut with water. Granola bars, hamburgers, all your headliners, your carpeting in your car, it's all been cut with water.
I had no idea. And Dwayne, I'm going to look over here. And you can see this particular machine could cut the parts out of, this is a pretty thick.
Yeah, this is a 1/2-inch thick piece of aluminum. This part was cut, this is a 5-axis cut, showing you the bevel properties that can be achieved with a water jet. And again, this is just sample parts, it's not used for anything, It's just there to show you what the capabilities of a 5-axis water jet cutting head can do.
And what are the ballpark figures for the prices of your machines? I assume they're small ones and large ones.
It's like an automobile. It's a wide range. I mean, you go from the Ford Pinto to the Maserati. You can go from $20,000, $30,000 machines up to a $500,000 machine.
If I had my millions, I'd buy several. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This is automated welding going on behind the red curtain here. Very exciting stuff, manufacturing. I stopped by the Industrial Magnets Inc. booth because I was watching some demonstrations, and this gentleman here was showing me that this is the magnet, right? And it is not magnetic at this point because he pulled apart inside that housing the two magnets, and then you then you put them, align them, and suddenly it's got 1,000 pounds worth of pressure and can work, for example, if you were trying to weld two pieces of metal together and they were not even. Now you could do that. He said that industrial magnets can lift as much as what?
Many tens of tons.
Tons. A magnet can lift tons. I didn't know that either. Thank you very much. Wow. A number of companies we've visited are headquartered in other countries, or their product is made in other countries. But Marvel Ironworkers say they are proudly made in the U.S. And, well, somebody just walked in front of the sticker. But what it does say, wow, in between those men's legs are proudly made in the U.S. with a picture of a U.S. flag. This is another water jet company, Flow Water Jets, and here are samples of their products cut by water technology. Here we are at the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority section, where a beautiful showgirl is waiting to have her picture taken with a Fabtech attendee. We're at a convention, and here's a lady sitting on a park bench eating an apple and reading a book. And the convention goes on without her. More ballets. This is SKS Welding Systems. They really look alive.
Videos that I've got, it says, yeah, this is something you could actually work towards.
This says Flex Picker. Picking up parts and moving them from one place to another. People not required. Yes, it gets a little dizzy from time to time, though. Wow. Must have had some Red Bull. Faster than the human hand, probably. This is something new to me, a welding helmet with decorations, but I'm told by the representatives from Crystal Clear Welding Helmet that welding helmets can have all kinds of decals on them. They could have the name of the company, they could have the name of the person, but somehow I like this fiery helmet. Kind of makes the work more exciting. Looks like the iron workers have a booth here, although the gentleman is on the phone, not talking to people at the show. Well, here we have a ballet with a kind of a cream color print. This is Yaskawa Robotique. Looks like it could even put ketchup on your hamburger. Right next to the Nelson Fastener Systems exhibit is a lady who is doing caricatures. I don't know if that attracts the right crowd, but here we have a reason that I took a picture anyway. This is the Yaskawa Motorman Robotics, showing how the welding would be done on this huge pipe. Well, this robot actually looks like a band. His arm arms go back, the back of its head. And for some reason, it has attracted more attention than most of the www.motoman.com. P-F-E-R-D, I don't know how you, I think it's preferred. And we actually have some grinding operation going on here. The industrial markers folks will sell markers that not only make pretty pictures, but can withstand 600 to 1200 degrees, 2100 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you write part numbers on hot metal, or the fact that you've completed your job, the markings will stay where they're supposed to be. The sign on this side of the machine talks about opportunities, and what we have is a medium-sized fume and dust collector.
Reduces matter, being more efficient, raising your productivity.
All right, so Jerry's going to do something for us now. What is he going to do?
Jerry is going to take a 0.45 diameter out of position electrode, so 7-10X electrode, runs on CO2 shield gas. It's going to look like it runs on 75-25.
All right, Jerry, go for it. You want to come in close? I'm going to get out of your way. Take a look at that TV that you see on the front there. Take a look in the windows there.
So what he's doing is a straight push fillet on 3/8 thick material.
This is a FANUC Robot R 1001A. Moves faster than I can move my camera. I don't know how a robot can be friendly, but they sure are smart. We're watching the OTC robots going through their paces, and I think they know what they're doing. Very balletic. Friendly? I don't know. I don't see a smile among them. The gentleman from GW Kent said this display is to show some of the products their company makes for the food and beverage industry, and they hope perhaps they can partner with some other companies that will be attending the show. I must say, these stainless steel pieces are actually quite lovely. We've seen the word innovation on any number of booths, and I hope that's true, because that would mean manufacturing in the United States is alive and well. And we've also heard some folks tell us about business being good. But here we have some gloves, and if they could, they would be waving goodbye at this reporter, who certainly does not understand everything at Fabtech, but was certainly impressed seeing all this manufacturing equipment and seeing the enthusiasm of the crowds.